All right, time for a quick preliminary review of the Dragon Door Isomax. Got mine several days ago, been using it for several workouts, playing around with it, and here are my initial thoughts and opinions on it. As you know, I've made a video about a year ago on how to add a strap to the original Isochain. Because after using the Isochain, it's like, yeah, this works great, but it's heavy, it's cumbersome, it's harder to adjust, and almost everything else I use in my gym is based on nylon straps, so I just threw a strap on it, and immediately I was like, oh yeah, this is so much better. This little voice in the back of my head was thinking, this seems too good, like easy of an adjustment. There's got to be a reason not to do this. So I sent the video over to Paul Wade saying, am I wrong here? Is this not a good idea? And he wrote back basically saying, nope, you're 100% correct. This is something we're actually working on with a new device called the Isomax, but keep it on the down low. Don't tell anybody about it yet. So I've known this thing has been coming down the pipe for quite a while, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it because it just seems like the natural evolution of the game-changing Isochain into something that's going to be a whole lot better. So is it? Well, let's take a look at what we have. We have the Isomax handle, very closely resembled the Isochain handle with a few differences I'll get into. We have the attachment strap with an attached clip. We have a carabiner to attach the handle to the strap. We have a lifting platform, and we have a simple lightweight stretch band. The handle is very similar to the Isochain handle with a couple of differences. If you have one of the earlier Isochain handles, as I did, I had one of the original OG Isochains, this is a much beefier handle. It's gonna feel a lot more robust. The clip, the handles, the rubber, everything is just a little bit of a higher upgrade to it, feels a lot more higher quality. Aesthetically, the controls are in black instead of white, which I kind of appreciate. Having both an Isochain and an Isomax handle just gives me the ability to look at it quickly and know which one is which, rather than trying to look around and see all the small little details to know which handle may be going to which device. It does have a louder speaker to it, which is one of the gripes I had with the original Isochain, because it works great in a quiet room when you're working out, but if you're in like a big noisy gym with music and people dropping weights, it's a little hard to hear those beeps, and that audible feedback is really what makes the Isochain work as the game changer that it is. So this louder speaker is much appreciated. And it also has a rechargeable battery to it. The original Isochain used two AA batteries, which works great. In fact, it doesn't really draw a whole lot of power, and I only needed to change out those batteries once since I've ever owned it. But nonetheless, a rechargeable battery just seems a little bit more modern, a little more up to date, and it runs off of a standard USB-C cable, and it comes with a USB to USB-C charging cable, so any type of standard modern charger will work with this. But let's get into the real nitty-gritty of what makes the Isomax so special, which of course is the strap. Using the strap makes the adjustments a lot quicker, a lot easier, and you don't have that clanky sound of the chain hitting down on the plate every single time or on a hardwood floor. It is technically, though, still a chain. It is a daisy chain where you just simply clip into each individual numbered pocket, and each pocket has double stitching in orange, which is certainly strong enough, really, really tough. And the other advantage to using the strap is that it has a little bit of stretch to it. So it replaces that big, heavy, bulky spring that goes with the Isochain to remove the cortical inhibition that allows you to have so much more tension in the muscle. Seriously, if you ever have the chance to use a direct Isochain unit without a spring, you'll notice there's a very significant decrease in how hard you can contract your muscles without something that has at least a little bit of give. And that spring certainly works well to suit that purpose, but having the stretch in the strap just means we don't need nearly as much stuff or weight or cumbersome. It's all in here. Naturally, the strap also offers quantifiable measurement. The numbers are printed on, which is usually not something I'm a big fan of. I've used printed numbers quantification for like gymnastics, strap rings, and suspension trainers. These things always seem to wear off as they're going through the cam buckle on those straps. However, since we're not using a cam buckle and we're just using clips, I highly suspect these things are going to be much more durable and last. And I also appreciate the fact that they have one of the clips, the anchoring clip, firmly stitched onto the strap itself. This just means there's one less little clip that you need to deal with. You just loop this around the platform, clip it on, and you're ready to rock and roll. It also makes it really easy to quantify the actual position of the handle with which pocket you're using. Because in isometric training, even moving the handle a difference of 1/2 of an inch can make a real noticeable difference in how much tension and pressure you can put in the handle and how much strength you can get out of your muscles. This makes sure that you're using a much more standardized, quantifiable, and stable type of training position for each exercise, so the whole quantifiable metric of isometric training is more practical with something like this. In the package, we also have a very somewhat lightweight stretch band. And originally I was like, okay, why? Like, this is not gonna offer a whole lot of resistance to it. But the whole idea behind this is to use it for a bit of a dynamic warm-up before your main isometric training. Now, I've been using isometrics as a warm-up for dynamic stuff for years in my grind style calisthenics program, and it works great. But I never thought to switch it around and use light dynamic exercise as a warm-up for isometrics. But it totally works because we get a little blood flow in the muscle. It gives us a little bit of an awareness of our body position and what muscles we're trying to engage, where our stability is. It's not gonna exhaust ourselves and fatigue us too much, but it does allow a little bit more of a preparatory training and get more out of that initial isometric set, rather than feeling like we have to go through several sets of isometrics to get the nervous system ramped up and ready to do the real work. And finally, we have the platform that comes with the Isomax. I'm really excited about this because I've known for quite a while that your ability to get the most out of isometric training depends on comfort and stability. The more stable you are, the more comfortable you are with the exercises, the harder you're going to be able to work your muscles. It's that simple. And having a decent platform or foundation that you can drive into the ground with is super key to make that happen. If you've used like the ISO trainer or even stretch bands and had them wrapped around your feet, you notice that it's just not quite as stable. There's a lot of inward pressure on the inside, especially for heavier exercises like deadlifts. This platform gives you a consistent, solid, base to work off of. It is well constructed. It's simple, lightweight plastic, making it very portable, but the grid underneath means that it's incredibly strong with supportive feet, so it's not going to be sliding around on hardwood floors or tile. Works great on a number of surfaces, and it has plenty of space underneath in both the horizontal and vertical orientations to wrap your strap under, bands, or anything else that's not going to wear off. It's got a nice kind of curved lip to it, so it's not going to wear out on straps and stuff. Overall, this is a great piece of additional equipment for anyone who uses bands or isometric equipment, and I think it could be a standalone product in its own right. So overall, my thoughts on the Isomax, particularly versus the Isochain, well, fundamentally, you're not going to be looking at doing a whole lot anything different with it. Isometric deadlift with either device is still going to feel largely about the same. What the Isomax does is it brings a lot more adjustability, comfort, and convenience to what you're using the equipment for in between the exercises. Portability, convenience, comfort, stability, ease of adjustment. These are things that don't really matter very much when you're doing the actual exercise itself, but it does make it easier to set up and actually get into the workouts, making them more consistent and a greater chance that you're probably just going to do it a lot more and have more fun with it. So if you haven't pulled the trigger on quantifiable isometric devices, the Isomax is, in my opinion, the king, the best way to use quantifiable isometrics. So if you haven't jumped into that pool just yet, that's definitely the way you want to go. If you already have an Isochain and you're wondering, should I upgrade? Well, that's up to you. I would say it depends on how much you're using the Isochain and what you're using it for. If isometrics is really kind of a bread and butter type of training for your strength training, it may be worth investing in. You're just going to get more out of it. But if it's something you use as an occasional supplement, the Isochain is still a great piece of equipment. It still gets the job done, and you're still going to be plenty happy with that piece. It's not like you're going to be missing out on huge benefits if you don't upgrade to the Isomax. Of course, me personally, I kind of have an addiction to exercise equipment, especially isometric equipment. I have one of the biggest collections of isometric-based exercise equipment probably here in the state of Colorado. And you could check out my reviews on everything I own here in this video. And if you want to learn more about the original Isochain, you could check out my review here as well. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit, and live free.